A lot of times I get questions from many folks about when it comes to buying real estate, should I pay cash or should I pay credit? Meaning, should I borrow for my property? And here in this video today, we're actually going to uncover exactly which one might make more sense for you and why I am a firm believer of borrowing for real estate, but it comes with a caveat, and it always, as I like to say, it depends. So here are kind of ways that I like to think about it. Let's pretend that there is a house for sale, and I have, let's say, $100,000 that I can use to purchase a property. Let's also assume that this $100,000 will actually cover for the expenses, meaning that's what the house is worth. Now, if I end up buying this cash, I can end up purchasing one property. Yes? Would we all agree with it? Absolutely, yes. But what if I was to get this at 20% down and 80% financed? How many homes can I purchase? That's what the question is. And if you are doing the math, you will understand that 20% of $100,000 equals $20,000. Yes? So that means that if I have $100,000 but end up thinking about purchasing homes, meaning I want to go for an investment property or properties, if that would be a better way to explain it, for $20,000 out of $100,000 that I have, I can actually purchase 5 properties. Now, the math is not exactly the same because there are closing costs that need to be accounted for. And closing costs are basically things like for the title and title insurance, for the transfer of the properties, for the realtors and that kind of stuff. Depending on how you're buying and how you're selling, who the buyers and who the sellers are, where you find these properties, this can range anywhere from 3% to 5% roughly. Now, there are ways that you can purchase this without the realtors, without any of that stuff. And so then that transfer fee is going to be much less, way less than 3%. Oftentimes it can be even less than 1%. But we're going to assume that you're going to be buying a house in a very traditional way. So if I end up financing it, I can purchase 5 properties. So what does that mean? If I go and finance it, that means that I can purchase $500,000 worth of home or homes, to be accurate, as opposed to one house for $100,000 if I was to buy cash. This is the power of leverage. This is the power of borrowing that actually makes a lot of sense. Now, I know for a lot of folks that they're worried about, if I borrow for a home, if I borrow to purchase something, now I'm getting debt. And debt is this 4-letter word that many people are very afraid of. But here's the way that I kind of like to think about debt that helps me put things in perspective. For one, if I own a property that is full out mine, and here's the thing, property is never really yours per se. There are always expenses to it. So just because I have eliminated mortgage, I still have to pay taxes, I still have to pay insurance, I still have to upkeep the property. And if you have ever owned a home ever, you understand that, sometimes things will break, sometimes things get outdated and you have to upgrade them and update them. Even if it is just to cut the grass, that still takes time and or money depending on how you end up doing it. So that's kind of what I mean of that. Even if I don't own anything on mortgage, I still have payments that are ongoing. Now I know what you're saying, wait a minute, Nev, that's way less than just mortgage. And I agree with you, yes. Insurance and taxes and upkeeps are way less than insurance, taxes, mortgage and upkeeps, right? But here's the way that I kind of think about it, is that when I have a house that I own full out and I don't have any mortgage on it, because the register, okay, let's assume this is the register, and the register of the deeds basically shows that, hey, this guy Nev, he owns this particular house. If there is 0 debt on this property, what ends up happening is that, say that I have a teenager who just started driving, and that teenager potentially gets in a car accident where the other party sues me. Now, the attorney, they will go to the attorney, and I don't know if you know anything about United States law and attorneys, but we tend to be a bit of a litigious society, meaning people will sue people for just about anything, whether they have a case or not. And unfortunately, there are also some attorneys that might not be necessarily given the best name to the attorneys. That's a sad truth of our society. And that has always existed and probably always will. So what they will do is they will hire an attorney who would say, you know what, I will represent you absolutely free, but if we win the case, I get 30% of whatever is awarded to you. Fair? The other party says fair, and the attorney goes to work. They quickly and easily find that I own this property and I own zero on it. Now I have $100,000 that is trapped inside of that property, basically giving them a right to go out and sue me. Say they go out and win, and their winnings, so to speak, are $50,000. Well, I don't have $50,000 cash, but I do have a property that I own free and clear, meaning no mortgage whatsoever. What will happen is that if I cannot satisfy this $50,000 suit that I got, that they won, whether it's right or wrong, I'm not going to argue here, the government or the law or the court, the judge, can actually write an agreement or can force me to sell this property, and that way I have to pay it. So they will put this particular puppy on sale. They will sell it, and typically, because we're trying to sell it really quickly, it's probably going to yield less than $100,000. $50,000 will go to the claimant who just won, and I will get the rest of it, meaning I have lost a lot of my wealth, so to speak. So that's problem number one of buying cash. Problem number two is that real estate is very illiquid, meaning the money is locked up. And while I have money, quote unquote, on paper, it's locked up in a house. I can't eat it. I can't live off of it. I can't do much of anything. So I have to have some cash kind of coming in. And that's where the problem is, the way that I see it. Now, the way I like to look at it is I would prefer to have 5 properties at $100,000 a piece as opposed to 1 property at $100,000 a piece. Number one, it increases my net worth. Number two, I am able then to have all of these mortgages showing up on the documents. So when the scrupulous attorney goes out to look, says, you know what, yeah, he has a $100,000 property, but there's only like $20,000 in it and the bank owns most of it, forget it, I am not representing you, we're not going to court. Oftentimes it prevents it. Now, it doesn't always happen that way, but it does put a bit of a limit, so it doesn't say, hey, Nev is a cash cow, let's go against him. That's another reason why I like it. The final reason that I like it, that I think is the best reason why to actually purchase with credit as opposed to cash, is because instead of owning 1 property that I likely will have to occupy, I can own 5 properties for the same amount of cash that I have, and now I can live in one of those and rent 4 of them. If I do my job correctly and I invest correctly, what will end up happening is that I will yield, let's assume that I get $250 per month per house, okay? If I have 4 of those, that means that I get $1,000 in cash, meaning this is my passive income that I don't have to do anything for. And when I say $250, I don't mean that that's what the rent is. That's the amount of money that is left over after all of the bills are paid for. So now I have an asset that is poised to go up in value, meaning it appreciates over time, and I have cash flow that comes to me and that can help offset my expenses, making me be able to live in my property absolutely free. Okay, so that is part of the deal that I really like. The final piece, and that is the 4th piece, and I know I said the 3rd one wasn't my last one, but I do have one really, really important piece, and that is inflation. Inflation eats debt away, and I will be doing a video explaining a bit more to you of how this actually works, and I'm going to do it through magic. So make sure you scroll down and look for the video, or come back and look for the video. I hope this was really helpful to you and that you have learned something. If you have enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, plus mark, check it, subscribe, Put the notes down, let me know. And if you have any thoughts and ideas of which one is better for you, please let me know below. Until next time, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away. I want you to be happy. Don't you want to be happy? I want to be happy.